So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah! What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, the draft is just a few days away at this point. And of course, as the draft approaches, as the picks get closer, and as the Panthers get to being on the clock at the first overall pick, we are going to have a lot of rumors over the next couple of days. We're going to have a lot of different people saying a lot of different things, mocking a lot of different situations to every single NFL team. And today we have a few of those rumors, players that a lot of Lions fans are excited about, players that a lot of Lions fans maybe haven't even thought about at a potential pick or haven't thought about in quite a long time, but have recently resurfaced in some of the recent draft rumors. Now, today we're going to talk about the four on screen today, talking and starting off with the bottom one. The Lions have already made calls about trading down from the 18th overall pick per Albert Breer. Now, this is one that we talked about yesterday, and I think the Lions very much could trade this pick away. If somebody's willing to offer up a pick in the early 20s and a third-round pick, or something in the mid-20s and a second-round pick, or even somewhere in the late 20s and an extra first-round pick next year, I think Brad Holmes is going to be more than willing to pull the trigger on this one, right? The Lions are in a position they don't need anybody right now. They don't have any glaring weaknesses, and by the time you get to the 20s or even early 30s of this first round, the value really might just not be there for you to say, okay, well, we have to stick and pick at this guy. We have to get this player at this position, because the Lions don't have very many gaping holes right now on their roster. I'd say a pass rushing defensive tackle, a field stretching wide receiver for when Jameson Williams is gone, and maybe some offensive line, linebacker, and secondary depth. But other than that, the Lions don't have very many needs. So if there's a team that's desperate, if there's a team that does have a need, and a very glaring need at that, the ability to trade up to 18, get a top 20 pick, and maybe go get the best offensive lineman left, maybe go get the best defensive pass rusher left, maybe go get the top wide receiver or the last remaining cornerback on the board, those teams are going to get desperate, and the Lions are going to be able to thrive from that. Now, starting off, going back to the top of this list, the Lions could take Lukas Van Ness if he's at 18 per Jeff Risdon. Now, I'm somebody who's been incredibly high on Lukas Van Ness for a while. The 6'5", 272-pound edge rusher from the Iowa Hawkeyes has experience playing both the edge outside the tackle as well as in the B gap and even in the A gap. He has played pretty much everything except for nose tackle at this point in the Big Ten, and did so at an incredibly high level. He is a versatile player for the Hawkeyes last year and was the best player on the defensive line of one of the best defenses in the country. Now, again, Iowa has this weird thing where they like to start upperclassmen. They don't like to give the underclassmen a whole lot of opportunities, but Lukas Van Ness very clearly deserved them. 13 games, 478 snaps, and only 271 opportunities to go get the passer, in which he had 9 sacks, 6 hits on top of that, and 31 quarterback hurries. Now, this is about half the production, a little bit more than half the production Aiden Hutchinson had in his final season at Michigan, but he had just under half the pass rushing attempts. From a efficiency standpoint, he was one of the most efficient edge rushers and one of the most efficient pass rushers in not only the Big Ten, but in the entirety of college football. Now, he is incredibly raw. He doesn't have the most pass rush moves, but he does have a really high motor, incredible speed to power, incredible power, period, and is just a player that consistently gets pressure, consistently makes plays, and never, ever stops. I've seen him go against Paris Johnson Jr., I've seen him go against Peter Skoronski, and that is a guy that just continues to work and continues to produce against the best talent in college football. Now, going back to the second rumor, that being that guard Osiris Torrence is rated very highly on the Detroit Lions board per ESPN. Now, Osiris Torrence, again, is another player that I really want the Detroit Lions to get. And I honestly wouldn't even be upset if he does end up being the selection at the 18th overall pick. An 88 overall PFF grade, 6'5", 330, incredibly athletic and very explosive, plays solely at the right guard position in college, except for a very short, it looks probably like a game stint where he played right tackle for the Florida Gators, where they very clearly just needed the depth and needed the talent. But in 11 games last year, gave up 0 sacks, 0 hits, and only 8 quarterback hurries. And in his entire career, right? 11 games last year, 12 games the year before, and 11 games before that, 0 sacks and 1 quarterback hit across 3 years, across almost or over 1,000 pass blocking snaps, did not give up a sack, and gave up a single quarterback hurry. On top of that, he is an absolute monster in the run game and would help the Detroit Lions immediately contend for best offensive line in the NFL. Taylor Decker's a top 20 tackle. Jonah Jackson's a top 10 guard. Frank Ragnar's a top 3 center. The only real position you're missing is the right guard, who Big V the last year that he was playing was very good, but you can certainly upgrade and get better value at that position. And then Penei Sewell just made the Pro Bowl last year, and I think you could argue is a top 10 right tackle in the NFL right now, if not closer to top 5. But adding Ocyrus Torrence, either in the late first round if you trade back, or even at some point if he ends up falling to you at 48, that would be one of the best steals of day 2, because this is a first-round offensive lineman. This is a guy that has power, a guy that has finesse, a guy that has good hands, a guy that has the tenacity that the Detroit Lions like at their offensive line. And the Lions, after adding David Montgomery, if they were to add Ocyrus Torrence, honestly might have a top 10, maybe even top 5 run game in the NFL, because running behind this guy, Penei Sewell and Frank Ragnow, is going to be incredibly difficult for any defense to stop. And then the last draft rumor that we have for today is the fact that if CJ Stroud does fall to number 6, the Detroit Lions will take a look again from ESPN. Now, I think that CJ Stroud is a very good quarterback. I think CJ Stroud gets a lot of hate. I think he gets a lot of criticism that isn't necessarily completely deserved by him. Now, was his S2 score incredibly low? Based on the reports that have come out, yes, his S2 score was incredibly low for a processing speed for a quarterback. Do I honestly care? Not entirely. CJ Stroud is the most accurate quarterback in this class. He has played 25 games over the last 2 seasons for the Buckeyes, has had over 8,000 passing yards in 2 seasons, and what is that? 85 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. I think a 125 plus passer rating in each of his 2 seasons as a starter. I mean, this guy is an accurate quarterback. He has the frame to be an NFL quarterback. 6'3", 214 is perfect. He has the mobility. He has the accuracy. I don't really quite care what the S2 score says. He's a player that can make multiple reads on any given play and get it to his wide receivers consistently in the right spot. And the only real concern about CJ Stroud is how does he perform under pressure? He was never pressured at Ohio State. He had one of the best offensive lines and a solid run game to go with him, and he was never pressured. He had all the weapons. He had all the opportunities, and quite honestly, he made the most of them. I can't imagine a quarterback succeeding much more at the collegiate level than what CJ Stroud was able to do from an individual standpoint. Now, if he's available at 6, I think you absolutely have to think about taking him. I think that CJ Stroud is right up there talent-wise with where Deshaun Watson was when he peaked with the Texans, right up there with Dak Prescott in his best years, a borderline top 10 NFL quarterback. And he has all the tools to do it. He has the strength. He has the accuracy, has the mobility, has the legs, but isn't a run-first quarterback. I think CJ Stroud probably won't fall to 6, quite honestly. I would not see a world where CJ Stroud is at the 6th overall pick in most draft classes because, quite frankly, I think he's a top 5 prospect in this draft. And I think Seattle could take him. I think that Carolina could take him. I think that Houston, looking solely at a talent perspective, could use a quarterback like CJ Stroud for the future. And there quite honestly could be teams that look to trade up. There could be teams like the Tennessee Titans that look to trade up. Maybe even the Washington Commanders or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that look to trade up. And there are going to be so many teams that would get better with CJ Stroud. Now, would I want him to be a Detroit Lion? It's going to be hard to say unless he actually is one, right? It's going to be hard to say, oh, we're moving off from Jared Goff, or hey, we're sticking with Jared Goff for at least another 2 seasons, right? Because that is the statement that you're making in this class. If the Lions walk out with a young developmental guy, Jared Goff's on the clock. If they walk out with no quarterback in sight, Jared Goff's around for at least 2 more years, if not getting a long-term extension. So as far as him being the future quarterback of the Detroit Lions, I think it would be fine. I think that in Detroit, CJ Stroud would have all the weapons, would have the offensive line, he'd have the run game, he'd have the savvy offensive coordinator in either Ben Johnson, if he continues to stay, or Ben Johnson's successor, because you know they have that lined up in the wings. I think CJ Stroud would be a great pick. I think he's the most accurate quarterback. I think he can make quick decisions. And again, I think he's being incredibly hated on because of the S2 score when, quite honestly, I don't think the S2 score, I don't think a score taken on a computer, a test taken in the classroom can necessarily compute with what CJ Stroud does on film. And that is be an incredibly accurate and good quarterback. So with all that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. Those are the draft rumors as of right now. Again, if more rumors do continue to come up, I will continue to make content and continue to talk about it. But with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. Thank you all so very much for watching. And until next time, and as always, go Lions.